Whether you create content in-house or outsource your marketing, if your marketing copy isn't delivering, qualified leads or supporting your business goals, the issue isn't just style, which some people can think. It's strategy. In our last episode, we talked a little bit about strategy. And the truth is, today's CEOs need audience-driven messaging that is engineered to convert, command trust, and fuel enterprise value. And today we're going to be sharing, our processes for creating content that people connect with each and every time. But before we get back into it, you guys know the deal. Don't forget to, like, follow, subscribe. It helps us out a lot, especially over there on YouTube. We put out a new podcast each and every Friday where we share high-value tips and resources to help business owners sell, market, and lead better. So the first thing that I'd like to kind of pick your brain about, as somebody who's done a lot of copywriting in their day, what does good copy mean to you, especially as a CEO?
Well, ultimately, the simple answer is good copy converts, which is not the how to get there, but it's the right message at the right time in front of the right audience.
Yeah.
Is the whole ultimate kind of marketing, excellent marketing that you're looking for. And so what's key is understanding, who you're speaking to and putting the right message in front of them. And it makes me think about, I joined a friend of mine's email list because he teaches people how to track their macros, which is one of the most effective ways to build muscle and lose weight and
Absolutely.
match what your body needs instead of trying to do a diet. That the stats are ridiculous of how many people try a diet and don't stick with it. And so anyway, I signed up with his stuff to check out what he's doing and look at it. And when I got his email newsletters and read his website and read all his offers, the messaging is so on point, and he's done so well because it's super conversational. It's really encouraging. It points out like the facts of how to get healthy and, strong and lose or gain weight, depending on what you need to do.
Yeah.
And it's just really in that conversational style, but it also like teaches life principles that apply in how to be healthy and lose weight or gain muscle. So it's super conversational. It's like a friend sitting down and saying, hey, Nathan, you just shared that you want to hit this health goal. Here's what I would suggest. Here's some good things to apply. And by the way, if you want more help, here's something that will help you do it even faster, even easier. So it's just real smooth, conversational, and it coaches and guides people to the result they're already looking for. And that's an example of really great copy because it's the right message, to the right people, and, it will come at the right time when they finally get serious and they want to make a shift. In contrast to that, when I have another friend who runs a large e-commerce site, and we've worked with him off and on over the years, and he sells demolition bits for heavy equipment. Like if you're driving down the highway and you see a giant excavator or machine with the giant jackhammers on it, these bits are like hundreds of pounds and giant, steel bits. And so when his, ideal customer is, viewing his site, getting his emails, it's about, hey, here's the specs for the machine you own. This fits it, this bit or device or thing that goes in the machine fits it perfectly. Here's the maintenance things, and here's how simple it is to order, and we ship, in X time. And it's all business, all facts, like how fast can we deliver? How durable is this? What's our warranty? All those types of things, because that answers the questions in the mind of his prospects. And it's a completely different style of copy, obviously.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to know who you're speaking to and know what they need, what they desire, and what they're thinking about, and then match that. And ultimately that drives the style of copy, the wording, the structure, the format, and even the length of copy. Because shift to one more example to answer your question. I have tons of friends that have worked in the financial investing space and selling information on, how to invest and what stocks to buy and all of that. And those types of programs, often the sales pages may be 30 or 40 pages long. And that's because they're speaking to an investor, minded person who does a ton of research and analyzes, is this company, making a profit? Should I invest in this? They spend a ton of time in the data. So they expect to be fully educated, see all the data, understand how the program works, what information they're going to buy that's going to make them more effective in stock trading. That's a completely different audience. So ultimately it's know your audience, use their language, speak to their pain points and needs, and then help them easily see this is the next step to accelerate your success or get the result you want. And that's what your call to action ultimately is.
That's so curious because like you gave like three very widely different answers, right? Three completely different spaces, and all their copy was different down to the wording, the length, and I think that that's one thing you touched on that I wanted to pick your brain about is tell me a little bit about, at least for us, how the strategy influences copy. Because you touched on it there, like none of the tailoring could have happened there without strategy. So how does, at least in our experience, how does strategy influence copy before our team even starts the writing?
Yeah, so we do a ton of work in the wellness space, in e-commerce, and in home services, and other things as well. But that's
Yeah.
where we spend the majority of our time these days. And so I was having a conversation with one of our clients in the wellness space that will answer your question. And so the strategy is to first zoom out and say, what does the customer journey look like? And
Mm,
it's there's and this is the structure of all effective marketing funnels. And when we hear the word funnel a lot today, we think web pages or SMS series, or we think technology, and that's the delivery mechanism. But you can have a funnel that you do by calling people or by inviting somebody to an in-person event or whatever. There's the funnel is the principal step-by-step process of the strategy. So the funnel is know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, refer. And so the first thing in the strategy is you have to make sure that the ideal customer that you want to serve knows about you. So you got to have branding ads out there. You may go to trade show events. You may run outdoor advertising, but where can you become known to your target audience? And then trust is where we bring in, testimonials, how-to examples. This is how the process works, like just to make sure that your prospective audience members go, oh, these people are credible. And
yeah.
know and like kind of flow together, because the more they know you, the more they'll trust you, and then they'll like you and say like, man, I keep liking what these people put out. It seems like it's to solve my problems. And then they need to try something. And trying can be a paid engagement. It can be a free sample. It's just like, how can I give a taste to this prospective person and give them a customer experience, again, paid or free sample or whatever it might be, or free consultation. And then that's where you get to convert them into buying. But even in
Right.
buying, the marketing strategy is still in play, because once they buy, then you need to make sure that they continue to be educated and marketed to and understand the process. And then you want them to buy again, repeat
Yeah, it
buy.
doesn't stop there.
Yeah. And then referring is a marketing strategy, because everything you're marketing to the customer as they're buying, repeatedly from you, you then design processes and systems that say, hey, Nathan, I know you love this product. Why don't you tell your friends about it? And if you do, we'll give you this thing, or, based on your customer, you can find what motivates them. And so ultimately, that's the strategy that comes in play. And when you know that, it allows you to get into the head of your customer and your prospect and be in their head with what they're thinking about from before they know about you. Then they get to know and like you, and again, then they try something, they buy, they repeat buy, and they refer. And so that strategy has to be overlaid across the whole copy messaging. And copy is video messages. It's what we speak, it's what we write. It's
It's
the
not just writing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
copy obviously goes into video sales letters, YouTube videos, presentations, speaking events, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a lot deeper than you might think, and that's actually kind of what I was going to touch on next too. Those were great points, by the way, and definitely principles that everybody should remember, regardless of what niche or industry you're in. That's kind of what we're getting at here. Is the more you know that your target audience, the better you can tailor your copy, which isn't just writing; it's videos, it's landing pages, it's all that stuff. So another thing I wanted to touch on is like kind of how we write copy that can not only connects but more importantly converts, which you touched on earlier. So the
Yep.
first thing that we look to do is speak to our audience's emotions, right? You and I are people. Everybody's a person, right? Everybody has emotions. So people
Yep.
make decisions with their hearts, not their heads. And
Mhm.
that's kind of a tough lesson to learn. Your content should speak to their emotions, tapping into, unique desires, fears, and even needs of your audience. A tactic we use very often is storytelling, right? We use storytelling that speaks to whatever our client's target market is to create real connections and share real life scenarios that resonate with the audience's experience. So, what has been your experience with using storytelling to connect to your audience, whether that be for business marketing engine, as a thought leader in your personal brand, whatever you'd like to use?
Yeah, it's crucial to understand the storytelling aspect, the emotion of it, because they're depending on what customers you're serving, they may skew to being in a more of an emotional buyer, or they may be a logical buyer, but
Right.
they're never just one. So even your logical buyer, go back to one of my examples of people that write and sell information products, like in the finance, and stock trading and investment space, those people are hyper logical, but the emotion that drives them is there's a myriad of emotions, and you do your market research, you understand what your customer base and your audience wants. But there's definitely, markets there where people are most concerned about, leaving something for their kids. They want to manage their wealth.
Legacy.
Exactly. They want to leave legacy. So that's an emotion, that's a feeling, that's a value. And then and in some cases, you may start there and say, like, if you really want to manage your estate well and manage your assets well, in the financial markets, and leave something for your family, then let me break down this system for you and give you the logic. And
Mm.
so story and emotion and logic in how we sell to people is weaved together. And when you tell a story of, here's how, this person came into our world, we served this customer, this is the result they got, then I get to see myself as, that person and go, oh, this could probably work for me. I just invested in a $10,000 program for our company recently, and I started off feeling the emotion of, like, I know I need to solve this problem and up level the team, and bring more strategy and kind of future thinking into what we're doing now. So I had this emotion and this drive of, like, I want to lead well, I want to serve our customers well, all of that. And so I went and checked this out, and they told the story of how other, strategic marketers like us have used this system to just elevate the excellence of the, service and the results that they give their clients. And so
Right.
I was like, oh, that's just like what I'm looking for. And so I can identify, it's that copy, and the stories we tell should help your prospects self-identify and go, oh, that's like me. And they may not consciously say that, but intuitively feel it, or unconsciously, or they may consciously, think that or say that. So that's where stories help our prospects and our audience go, oh, that's like me, that's something that I'm facing, and if it worked for Nathan, then it could work for me.
Yeah, and I love that you said, there are typically two, branches of thinking, the logical and the emotional, but it's never one or the other. Like, it's always a mix of both. It could be
Yeah,
70-30, 80-20, 90-10, you know what I mean? But as long as you understand the majority of your target audience, the better you can tailor your copy to speak to those types of people, and like use like a heavy logic basis, but also add what's their main emotion that they're feeling. Like you said, like legacy could be one for logic, and then a myriad of ones for emotional thinkers. But that's really insightful, and it actually brings me into my next point too. Is something that we do at BME is we're clear over clever. And that's
yeah,
not to say we're not clever, right? I would venture to say you're a very clever person, but clarity in the end always trumps cleverness. Your audience doesn't, want to guess what they're trying to say. Get to the point. The simpler your message is, the easier it is for readers to understand and act on it, right?
yeah,
So go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. I just say, like, ultimately, it's easy to confuse, like, clever entertainment with effective marketing strategy. And if you're clever and you focus on that as your only thing, then ultimately you may unintentionally leave your prospects feeling tricked.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're just super practical and clear, and just talking about, this is how it works, this is the process, and it's a clear, simple approach, then they're going to understand how it fits to solve their problem. And you don't want to try to use the story part of your copy to explain the deliverables, the value, the resource, the asset, the result that somebody's going to buy. You can tell a story and say, Nathan bought this thing or did this product or whatever it was, and it really changed his life. And then you go into, and here's what was included, this coaching piece, or, this supplement, or, you're remodeling your kitchen. Like, these are the 10 steps we went through, or whatever it might be. Because then that helps me, I self-identify through story, through emotion, through connecting at that level. And then I can envision what the process would look like for me. And I can see myself in the process, because it's a clear
Yeah.
roadmap that shows me the mission that I want to go on, and I want to rely on, this company to guide me through from here's where I am now, and this is where I want to get, and these are the X steps, and it's going to be clear and simple, and we'll help you get there.
Yeah, and I think that's so important because like you can be clever, right? And have some, cute messaging or something that's funny, but at the end of the day that can draw people in, but if they don't understand what it is that they're buying, investing in, or what you actually do, who you serve, you're gonna have a break. There's gonna be a break point, and then you're gonna lose potential, customers, clients, revenue, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So one tactic that our genius copywriter Ashley Riley taught us as a team is try reading your copy out loud, like actually physically reading out loud. If it feels like a chore, of course we can help simplify it, but if it's natural and enjoyable to read, people will resonate with it too. But it also has to be clear. It can't just be clever or funny or engaging. They have to understand the benefit of what they're investing in. And they're at first investing their time, right? Like they're reading your copy, they're investing in what you do. They have to feel like there's a benefit, like an end game to it. So I love all your points on that. And that actually leads to the next one, too, is focusing on benefits, not just features, right? And I feel like people fall into that pitfall a lot. We don't just tell your audience about your product or service, we show them how it works, how it benefits them. People don't care as much about features as you'd think. They care about how your product directly makes their life better. So, Gabe, why do you feel like it's important to highlight the benefits of a product or a service and not just its features?
Yeah, the features should deliver the benefit, another way to say the benefit is the result. And
Mm-hmm.
but I don't really care about the features as when I'm investing in something. I care about the results. And so I think about, some of our clients that sell, wellness devices. And if you just had your marketing and your landing pages and your videos going into all the engineering of this device, then that may be super interesting to you, which it should be if you're creating a high quality device that is going to solve a problem. But I don't really care how powerful this piece is or how it got engineered or any of that. I just want to know if I buy this wellness device, am I going to heal faster, feel better, get this result? And so when it's relevant, I can say, you're going to get this result, and here's maybe an underlying supporting feature, but it's not a focus in the message. Just like when we get down to use a simple practical example, ultimately people buy a car for one reason, or I'm oversimplifying it a little bit, but to get from point A to point B.
Right, transportation.
Yeah, and obviously there's car geeks and stuff like that, but
Sure.
I drive a nice car. I really like my BMW, but I could not for the life of you tell you what kind of engine it has in it. I'm just not really a car guy. I bought it because it's super reliable. I like how it drives. I know it's super safe. It's big enough for my family.
Right.
Those are the benefits that I get from it. But all the features is not why I bought it. And obviously, some products like that you're selling to people that love features and geek out about that stuff. But even if we go back to example we've talked about before, Nathan, when you're researching like the next gaming PC you want to get, you look at all the features and stuff because you want a result of super fast gameplay.
Right.
And you want all these results. So there's a myriad of options that are going to help you get to a specific result, but you're not looking at how fast the graphics card or the processor is just to know that it's fast.
Yeah.
You want to play your games fast or stream your videos or create whatever you're going to create. And so that's the key is we do speak about features when they're relevant to show how that supports the result that somebody wants, but ultimately all the features, all the engineering, all the process steps, all the things you do are just to get the result. And that's where we have to ground and anchor our copy. And is yeah, this feature's here so that we can, validate and prove that it's going to solve your thing. But we're not going to go deep into all that. We're going to just say, yeah, we did this, and this is the result that people get, and that's the benefit.
Yeah, and I think I love your example as always. I have a really nice computer, same as you have a really nice car. But I wouldn't have bought this computer if it just had the shiny lights and the cool window where I can see the cooling system and stuff like that, and the lights on that match my keyboard and everything like that. I didn't buy it for that. Is that cool? Heck yeah, it is. I love it. You know what I mean? But the consideration of that came way later after I was like, okay, can this run everything at a high frame rate? Will it work with the monitor that I have and the refresh rate, all of the other ins and outs to get to the end goal of being able to run everything smoothly and efficiently? And then the rest was filler. And did it help? Yeah, it's a cool looking computer and it's awesome, you know what I mean? And I dig
Right.
it a lot, but the end result was the reason I bought it. Same with, like you said, with your car. Does it have really cool bells and whistles? Is it pretty to
Yeah.
look at? Heck yeah, it is. But you bought it to get you places, you know what I mean? And so that analogy works for every business. There's a core of what you do and what you're delivering to people, and if they don't understand that, you might have a break point, on whether they're willing to invest in that. You can have all the bells and whistles added into your copy to fluff things up, but if you focus too much on the fluff, things are going to get lost in translation. And so I love those examples. And if you guys are ready to make words work for you, clever little wording there. Great marketing. In all seriousness, great marketing is about understanding your audience and crafting messages that truly connect. And here at BME, we help make your words count, literally, and we turn them into results for all of our wonderful clients that we have. And so if you guys would like, you can book a free strategy call with us today. There will be a link down below where we can talk a little bit about what has your copy been doing for you. Do you like it? Do you don't like it? And just have a strategy session. We love to have those. But Gabe, as usual, it would not be an episode without talking about a win of this week, and we're going to go a little bit more into the analytics stuff because we've actually been having some really awesome results with all of our PPC campaigns, all of our pay-per-click campaigns. So with consistent optimizations and creative ads that really grab attention, which is a lot of what we talked about today, we're actually outperforming industry benchmarks and driving more sales than ever before in 2025. So, Gabe, if you would, share a little bit about behind the scenes about how our team is able to consistently outperform our clients' competitors.
Yeah, it always starts with, our strategic process up front of like really understanding the customers that our clients are serving, doing the market research, interviewing them, doing our surveys. And then what that allows us to do is understand who buys from our clients and what they're thinking and what they value. So it comes back to that right message to the right people at the right time. And so we look at PPC as a process of solving each layer of saying, okay, is this the messaging that is going to resonate with the audience? Great. That's the ad. Like that's the first thing they're going to see, the video, the copy on a search ad, the images, all of that. And then when somebody clicks in, then they're interested. We've got them to say, oh, I know about you and this looks interesting. When they click in, that's where we build that know, like, and trust. And ultimately, then we make it a really smooth transition where it's like we've got their attention because we're putting the right message in front of the customers that want to buy from our clients. When they engage and start to go through that funnel, then they go, oh, this was going to solve this for me. This is going to give me this benefit and this result. And if you want to accelerate your success and go faster and get this result, then here's the next step of trying it or buying it and moving through it. And so when we look at a funnel, we're constantly optimizing from the top of the funnel down to the bottom of the funnel. And first, we make sure that the copy lands and people are clicking through and looking at the offer, the landing page, or making the phone call, or whatever the next step is. And then we look at when they've clicked through, okay, how do we build trust, show credibility, tell the stories, and then ultimately, what's the thing that's going to drive them over the edge to click and want to solve the problem now and take the next step. And so we really look at optimization of messaging and conversion from making sure that our advertising is always shown to the right prospective audience, that it's the right message, and then we just continue to just over and over run through each step of the funnel and keep making tweaks and improvements by testing, by watching what's converting, by getting active, consistent feedback from our clients about what leads are coming in and what sales are coming in. And we're just relentless in our pursuit of beating what we did last week or last month. When we get to industry standard conversions, awesome. Then we're like, all right, cool, we're going to beat that. When we get 2x industry results, it's like, great, that's awesome. But now we got to beat that. And so we're always looking to beat our last win. And that's what drives it forward. And that's why our clients see great return on investment and consistent performance. We never stop doing that. It's a continual optimization process.
Yeah, shout out to our PPC team, man. They knock it out of the park. They're always working so hard. And like you said, one of our guiding principles is continuous improvement. And I think that should be the case for everybody in every area of your life. You never stop being a student. You always learn more and improve your skills. And so that's a great way to wrap it up. So, Guys, if you like the video, throw it a thumbs up for us. It really helps us out. Share it with your friends. We always love to add people to the BME family. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Again, we put out a new episode each and every Friday, and we would love to have you guys tune in. And then again, if you want a team of dedicated experts working around the clock for your business, there's a link below that you can book a call with us and chat about what you have going on. We can talk about copy, strategy, or PPC, or whatever it might be. And then finally, if you guys would like to join our free newsletter, we put out awesome tips and resources and strategies just like we talk about on the show. And we put out one every week there. So thank you again for joining me, Gabe, and we will see all of you next Friday.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.